Let's get this up right here.
There we
15
go.
minutes and counting. Welcome into 15-Minute Fantasy, your Saturday night start sit show. I am your host, Hutchinson Brown, along with your co-host, Luke Sawhook. It's week 2. We've got some injury updates, some start sit questions, a lot from Twitter, and some maybe you tippity typing right now in the comments.
Tippity typing.
Yeah, I said tippity typing. Let's go. But yeah, I'm just gonna rapid fire real quick through these injury updates, and then we'll jump into the questions. So these players all right here should be good to go. They've been in full practices or they're not, and they're left off the injury report. Zach Ertz, so he's not on the injury report, so we should be good to go. He did return in the last game against the Falcons, so we should be good to go here. Jamal Williams, he did have a scary chest injury, but he's a full go at practice today actually, so he should be good to go. Questionable players that are questionable right now, but probably should play. They played, all three of them played last week. DeAndre Swift, a full go at practice, but he still is questionable with that groin injury. Darnell Mooney with a back injury, I believe he is a bit questionable right now. And Jonnu Smith is questionable right now. So just monitor those guys, make sure they're not in your lineups if they are out. And if they are, I think all three are guys you could start this week.
For sure. Jonnu's interesting though, because if he goes down, Hunter Henry gets a huge bump.
Yeah, if he's out, Hunter Henry does get it big bump. And same thing, like if Swift was down, Jamal Williams also gets a big bump.
Huge.
And so players who are only two guys who are out this week. One, you're probably not starting unless you're really, really desperate. But Josh Jacobs is out this week. So Kenny Drake gets a bump up. Peyton Barber gets a bump up, right? Because Peyton Barber was just signed by the Raiders, I believe, right? I was right. Am I right on that? Yeah, because he was a big pickup this week. Like today or yesterday, he was a huge pickup. But yeah, both those guys get a bump up, but both those guys aren't RB2s in my mind. Both are RB3s, flex plays.
Yeah, they're flex plays. You don't want
probably dependent on a touchdown in this game. Not really fun for this one, especially against the Steelers. That's a tougher matchup. And Tyrell Williams is out. This doesn't really affect your lineups because you're probably not starting Tyrell Williams, but it does open up the Lions receiving core a little bit. It does give more opportunity to maybe an exciting rookie in Ramon St. Brown an opportunity to jump up, get more targets, show what he can do. Yeah, guys, that's it. That's it for the question. That's it for the. That's not it for the questions. We haven't done the questions. That's it for the injuries. So let's jump right into these questions. Luke, I want you to kick it off. Which ones do you want to do
first?
Let's
get it. We have one from the comments real quick here before we get into the ones that came before the show from Carl. What are you expecting from Tyson Williams? I'm kind of scared to start him, but I have no other way. I like him. I think he's solid still, but I think he's going to get phased out a little bit more this week than he was last week. But it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's the Ravens and the Chiefs. I think he's going to score at least 10 fantasy points still.
Yeah, just the thing is the run game is probably going to get phased out a little bit because the Chiefs offense is going to put up points. It doesn't matter what defense they're going up against. They're going to put up points, and the Ravens are going to have to throw. Lamar's going to have to throw a lot. And Tyson Williams was not really involved in the passing game last week when he started against the Raiders. So I think Tyson Williams is a good bet for 10 fantasy points.
For sure.
But he's probably going to be a bit dependent on a touchdown. And, with the other backs, he's going to be limited in his workload. So, yeah, I think Tyson Williams is a solid start this week, a flex option, an RB3 option. But I'm not too excited to start him if you are.
Yeah, I agree. We have one more live question here from Sizzle. Shenault, Boyd, MVS, or Rondale Moore? Pick one.
It's not Rondale Moore MVS.
No, I think
I'm assuming MVS is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. No way.
Okay. So
definitely not those two. It has to be Shenault or Boyd.
I lean Boyd.
Oh, I prefer Shenault.
See,
I prefer Shenault because
have a tougher matchup with the Broncos for wide receivers and the Bengals. The Bears are a good defense, but I think the Bengals. Boyd, I think is going to get his. He's safer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Boyd did have a tough week last week, but I do think
he was bad.
He's a bit safe. But I think with this, this is a tougher matchup. But I don't think Laviska's valued as number one. I really don't think he's going to be covered as the number one receiver. I think that's more going to be Marvin Jones and DJ Chark. But still, I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. The Jaguars are just going to keep throwing a lot. And Laviska saw 7 targets from a rookie quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. So they're obviously having a bit of a bond. So I like seeing that. And obviously, he's pretty explosive. He is involved in the running game. So he can just add some extra points there, and he could take one to the house from the 10-yard line. Like, seriously, he's really explosive. So Laviska, I would prefer Laviska, but I think Laviska and Boyd are both solid starts this week. The Bengals against the Bears, it is a bit of a tougher matchup. The Bears cornerback, like the defensive backs for the Bears, are their biggest concern on defense. So that is a plus.
That's why it doesn't worry me as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think both are solid starts this week, but I'd slightly prefer Chenault.
Fair. All right, let's get into our comments from questions from Twitter now. Actually, we have one more that just came in from Carl. Tim Patrick or Tyson Williams? I'm gonna go Williams there for sure for me. Much more safe.
Oh, in PPR, I'd go Patrick. I think
Really?
I'm a big
like
Patrick believer. I'm a big Patrick believer, and this Jaguars defense sucks. Like, it's gonna be Courtland, Sutton, and look, someone's gonna have to step up, right? You know, with Jerry Jeudy going down, he had 6 catches last week, and I believe he saw 7 targets. Like, he was heavily involved in this offense. Courtland Sutton was faded out last week because of James Bradbury locking him up. But Courtland Sutton, now he goes against Jaguars. Like, Courtland Sutton's gonna get his, but then the number 2 spot opens up. It could be Noah Fant, could be Tim Patrick, could be KJ Hamler. That's a guy I've been seeing a lot of hype.
It's Hamler or Patrick. I think Fant definitely gets a bump, but Fant or Patrick are gonna be the guys who like take the step forward for sure.
Yeah, and Patrick last year was used a lot in the red zone, which I really like, because if they get down there in the red zone with this bad Jaguars defense, they might look his way. Like, they really would look his way. Obviously, Gordon is a great goal line back. He's a guy that could definitely go in for the touchdown, but if they're passing by the red zone, I think they'll look Tim Patrick's way. And I'm not as confident in Tyson Williams this week. I think the run game's just going to be faded out. The Chiefs' run D is pretty solid, and the Ravens are going to have to pass in this game.
For sure. I'm kind of banking on a rushing touchdown for Tyson Williams, honestly, and I think he's going to get it just because that game's going to be high scoring. But, you know, it's back and forth. I like both those options.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the ones from Twitter now. So start a wide receiver and a flex half-point PPR between Deebo, Mike Williams, and Damian Harris. So we need a wide receiver between Deebo and Mike Williams, and then between one wide receiver and Damian Harris.
Okay, for me, Mike Williams is an auto start this week against the Cowboys. Mike Williams is
who do the Niners have?
The Niners? Who are they have the Eagles this week. Eagles were tough, man. Russell Gage dropped a goose egg. Calvin Ridley only had about 10.5 fantasy points. Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst both being pretty irrelevant as tight ends. The Eagles' defensive back unit looks tough, especially with the addition of Stevie Nelson from the Steelers. Like, this is just Darius Slay, Stevie Nelson. Those are 2 key components, and I think they're gonna shut down a lot of this receiving core this week. So I'm pretty scared of Deebo Samuel. So I'd say Mike Williams and Damian Harris. Mike Williams, he had 8 targets last week. He was very involved in this. Yeah, he had a very high target share. He was very involved in this offense. He's still explosive, and he's not hurt yet. He's not hurt yet. So you can use him in fantasy football, and he's an amazing matchup. This game could go 70 points. This game could go over 70 points, and I wouldn't be very surprised. The Chargers and the Cowboys, this is going to be just fireworks going off everywhere. This is the game I'm most excited about for this week, besides, I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm excited for the Eagles this week. But, this is going to be the highest scoring game of the week for me. And I'm very excited to see what Mike Williams can do against this horrendous Dallas defense. And then Damian Harris gets the Jets this week. Like, Jets are not a good run D. And Damian Harris saw 23 carries last week. The Patriots have been saying they'll limit him because of his fumble. But
I don't think they will.
I still think he's going to see tons and tons of volume.
I don't think they will. I like the picks up. Mike Williams and Damian as well for me. I like it. All right, let's get into the next one here. As I get it ready, we have Jakobi Meyers or Juju in full point PPR.
Ooh, that's tougher.
I'm taking Juju against the Raiders just because
I am slightly leaning Juju because Nelson Aguilar did have a nice week last week. He was pretty involved in the offense. So, yeah, I think I lean Juju. He was still the number 2 target for the Steelers last week behind Deontay. And I think, against his Raiders defense, I think the Steelers offense is going to eat this week. I love Najee for this week. I like Juju. I love Deontay. I like Claypool. And, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Big Ben, But honestly, if you're that desperate, I think you could stream him this week. And that's a lot for me to say because I'm really anti-Big Ben. A lot of you people on Twitter know that about me. I'm very anti-Big Ben for fantasy for this year. But I think you could stream him this week against the Raiders defense is just horrendous.
They're bad. They're very bad.
But yeah, I'd say Juju.
All right, getting to the next one here. We have PPR, Chase Claypool or Mike Williams. If he has Herbert as his quarterback, so you could get the Herbert Mike Williams stack or throw in Claypool instead.
I'm going back to Mike Williams here. I
would say start Claypool, but the stack kind of makes me want to
stack and because Mike Williams is a touchdown guy.
I mean, so is Claypool, but
yeah, I mean, obviously yes, so is Claypool, but the touchdown along with the stack because you get double points for the touchdown. And I really love starting pieces of explosive games. I really like starting pieces of explosive games. That's kind of, I always like to target those kind of games. And if you give me two players, one of them in explosive game, one not as much, I'm going to take the guy in the explosive game because both of these guys are pretty big question marks. They're a similar type of receivers. So I think I'd take Mike Williams.
It's tough. I want to say Williams for the stack, but I have to go Claypool against the Raiders. I can't say no.
Right.
Moving on, we have Corey Davis or Courtland Sutton. Doesn't specify scoring. So the Broncos against the Jaguars, or who is it again? Corey Davis has New England. I'm going to take Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, easy smash Courtland Sutton here. New England's defense, especially their number one corner, Stephon Gilmore. Like, Corey Davis is going to get shut down this week. I really do believe that. I know he looked good. I know Zach Wilson did throw him a lot, but I feel like it could be like an 8-target, 2-catch week from Corey Davis with how bad I think he's going to get shut down this week. So, I'm easily taking Sutton. Sutton's going to see tons of volume.
Fair. All right, moving on here, we have another flex question. Corey Davis, Jamal Williams, Waddle, or James White in the flex in a half-point PPR. I'm going to take Jamal Williams, honestly.
Oh, yes, so would I. I would take Jamal Williams. He's been very involved in this offense. Very involved in the Detroit running game and the passing game. Corey Davis, as I just said, I'm very concerned for him this week. I think he's a bench this week against New England, so I'd take Jamal.
Agreed 100%. All right, we have another question from Twitter. Need to pick 2 full-point PPR. James Robinson, Chase Claypool, Courtland Sutton, Tyler Boyd, or Jakobi Meyers. I think for me, I think these kind of jump off the page here. I'm going to go Chase Claypool and James Robinson.
I would take Claypool too, but I'm going to take Courtland Sutton. I am mightily concerned about James Robinson right now with Carlos Hyde.
A lot of people are. I don't know. I think he's.
I'm pretty concerned. And they get Denver this week, man.
Yeah, I think
Broncos, man, that's a tougher one.
I just like starting running backs over wide receivers if it's close, just because I think the wide receivers have the running backs have a higher floor usually.
Yeah,
I mean it's pretty tough for like a guy like J-Rob to put up a goose egg, But I mean Sutton could easily, have a goose egg. Not easily,
definitely.
But like it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and same thing with Claypool because he's a big kind of play guy. So if he just kind of misses on those big plays, he could leave you with a really bad fantasy day.
Sure. And it happens sometimes for Claypool and, like Mike Evans and those kind of guys, it happens. But I still go J-Rob and Claypool. Sutton's tough, actually, though. So I go J-Rob and Sutton, actually. But Sutton's safer than Claypool is just because he has more of a guaranteed workload, I think. All right, let's get into one more question here. I
think this might be the last one because we're about – actually, you know what? No, we could fit in 2 more.
We got about a minute left. So we'll see how this one goes. I didn't fully read it, but it's a longer one. This is an odd situation, but I roster Aaron Jones, Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Swift, and Elijah Mitchell in a standard league. Need to bench 2.
Oh my! Okay, so
I'd bench Elijah Mitchell for sure.
Mitchell's the bench 100% out of one of these. I think I'm benching CEH. I hate to say it, but I think I am. Against the Ravens, man. And I think the Chiefs, I think the Ravens are going to, as much as say the Chiefs are going to score a lot of points, the Ravens are going to score back. They have a good offense. Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, that run game, they're going to be able to score.
Because it's standard, I lean bench Swift because he has a tough matchup against the Packers. And he gets a lot of value.
It is standard, which means 0 PPR.
Yeah. I'm
Swift
and
a lot of pass catching. Swift has a lot of pass catching. So that's a really tough one. I feel like it's Mitchell easy, and then it's either CEH or Swift for the bench. With it being standard, I think I lean Swift for benching. I think I'd rather start CEH.
I agree 100%. How are we looking on time there, Hutch?
0 seconds.
Sweet. All right, that'll do it
off.
for another week of 15-minute fantasy. We'll see you guys next time. Have
Peace
a
out,
great week,
everybody.
and we hope you guys win your weeks
your
with our
matchups.
advice. So hopefully you all win your fantasy matchups, and if not, we'll see you next week.